Welcome back to the show. I think we've all at this point seen the headlines about quiet quitting, but what is it exactly and why is it gaining popularity?
Here to tell us more about this trend and the impact it's having on employees and employers is award-winning journalist and author of The Burnout Epidemic, Jennifer Ross. Welcome back to the show, Jennifer. So Jennifer, I think many people have heard, I feel like there's been a lot of headlines lately with this term in there, but break it down for us. What exactly is quiet quitting?
Well, despite the name, quiet quitting isn't just quitting outright. It's more like doing precisely what the job requirements entail. So that could mean working within defined work hours and not working weekends and evenings, which we really shouldn't be doing anyways. It's doing, only mandatory trainings, not elective trainings, maybe not going out and engaging in that networking social event to get visibility with the boss and coworkers. It's really just doing your job as it's supposed to be done within those hours and not going above and beyond. And that's really what we need to understand about quiet quitting.
It's almost like the anti-hustle culture that we've gotten so used to, right? So why is it happening now?
It isn't a new thing when you look back. I mean, with the unions and this whole work to rule thing, this has been going on for a long time. But the pandemic really did escalate this problem. And a lot of it is that we are just working these exhaustive hours. We've added 252% more Teams meetings, not even Google Meet, not even Zoom, 252% more meetings.
Everyone's like,
We are really meeting fatigued, and then we sent out 40.6 billion more emails. I mean, who needs another email in their inbox? We're working around 3 hours more per day on average. You look at healthcare, nurses are once again an average of 9 hours of overtime every single week. So we're just talking about a burned out, exhausted workforce, and quiet quitting is kind of becoming a tool in the toolbox to get kind of that space that we need.
Yeah, some breathing room. And clearly, many employees are feeling overworked. But this movement, because it's really sort of taken off recently, who's behind this movement right now?
Yeah, I really don't like that we've bucketed everyone into quiet quitting into this one group, and we kind of look at them as just taking advantage of the employer. We have these three groups. I've sort of labeled them as first survivors. So they're the ones that have just been working these extraordinary hours for so long. It's unsustainable. Think healthcare, teachers, that group where they're just working too hard and they're surviving. So they're quietly quitting because maybe they can't quit their job. Maybe they don't have the ability to just leave as a single income earner. What if you're a single mom taking care of your kids? You can't just quit. So that's the survivor group. And then there's the opt-out. So they're the ones that have been just working that hustle culture. They have this ticket, kind of this golden ticket or this carrot that they've been pursuing, and they're not getting promoted. They're not getting raises. They're still just continuing this hustle. And so they've said, I'm going to opt out, forget it. I'm not going to go above and beyond anymore. And then there's the bad actors. Those are the ones that are just kind of always taking advantage of the situation. They're actively disengaged no matter the environment, and we shouldn't really worry about those people and be thinking that that's what the quiet quitting movement is about. It's actually more in the survivors and the opt-out group.
Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of people just assume that there's going to be a lot of bad actors, but you say it's really a small percentage.
Yeah, like 10 to 15%, really. Yeah.
So let's talk about, do you really actually think this is a good approach for people to consider if they are unhappy with their work? I would think that this could really, your reputation matters, and most industries are so small. Do you want to be seen as somebody who's just doing the bare minimum?
I think that as a long-term strategy, this quiet quitting tool is not really ideal. We spend 50% of our waking hours at work in our lifetime. I mean, that feels like such a waste, the idea of it being unwell or us burning out or us not feeling passionate or engaged in the work that we're doing. And so I see this as a tool that's short-term, but it's not ever good for a career. We want to actually spend that amount of time that we're at work in a place of wellness and joy and inspiration and passion, because that spills over into our personal lives. The happier we're at work, the more, we're going to have an improved life satisfaction. Even our lifespan increases if we're having a good time at work. So that's what we want to get back to.
And I feel like I totally understand where that's coming from. But if maybe a boss is watching right now, what happens on the other side of it? What happens when you're the employer of someone who you can clearly see is to quiet quitting? What's the impact there?
You're absolutely right. And like I said, it's not good for anyone. We can't blame the individuals, but at the same time, I mean, it's really tough on employers as well. I mean, when you look at the costs across the global workforce of disengagement, it's $7.8 trillion every single year. I mean, that's catastrophic to the economy. So there's a big reason why we don't want people quiet quitting. And I also just think when someone is not kind of going above and beyond, and that's sort of the way that we've created that contract within our peers and our organizations, then there's other people that have to pick up the slack, and then it decreases morale. People are fighting, and it's stressful, and there's resentment. So, all of that is really bad for the employer. But on the flip side, we need to look at this as sort of a beacon right now. This is a beacon. This is a cry for help from a workforce that is tired. And so maybe this gives an employer an opportunity to say, hey, people are disengaged. They're not inspired. I could probably win them back so that they can come to work and they'll be more productive and they'll be more engaged and they'll be healthy. I just need to be paying attention to what's going on.
Okay, because that's the communication component. So are you suggesting the employee starts that discussion, or is it on the employer to start that discussion?
Well, I love that you asked that. A big part of what I maybe it's provocative that I've written this in the burnout epidemic, it's this idea that we've been putting, self-care solutions on individuals to avoid burnout, to deal with mental health, all on them alone to solve. But really, employers, we've taken a long time to get to this point. They're sort of now in this place where they have to unwind what has been created. And so it's going to take time. Recovery takes time. And I know a lot of people are impatient with that. But we just have to recognize it's going to take some time and patience for us to be able to get that workforce back in a stable, sustainable way of working. And then in the end, that actually ends up saving employers money. So they're not constantly trying to, hire more people and dealing with all of that attrition, which is extremely expensive too.
Okay, so it's on the employer to kick this off.
They really are the ones that need to be active listening. The two reasons why people quit, they said in that Great Resignation piece where we were all looking at, 41% of the global workforce is looking at quitting. They said the two top reasons were workload, overwork, and lack of empathy from their employer. So they just want their boss to care. And that means just asking, what do you need? What can I do for you? How can I fix this? And it can be simple changes done over time incrementally, and then eventually we're gonna see the change. And then quiet quitting won't be such a big problem.
Oh, Jennifer
I think
Moss.
there's one more.
Yes.
You missed number 3.
What's that?
Beyonce.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Her album?
Yeah.
She told us all to quit our job.
Yeah.
She's
That's
divorced.
it.
It's Beyonce.
That's it. That's the answer. Quiet quitting. Yeah.
Jennifer Moss, such an important conversation to be having right now. Thanks
you.
for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey there! Wasn't that great? Do you know where you can find some equally good content? Our YouTube page. It's filled with discussions, debates, and some laughs. Head there now, like and subscribe.